What's up, everyone? I took a night off because, like, you can only watch so much trauma every night, okay? Like, that shit wears on you. It doesn't matter if you think you've been desensitized by video games or what have you. Like, there's only so many times you can watch little babies get fucked up, watch entire generations of families get wiped off the face of the earth. Like, 15 Palestinian families have been completely obliterated, like no trace. Their line gone. 15 families have been totally eradicated by Israel in the past 2 days. 15 entire family lines just gone. So you can only ponder and meditate and look at and talk about that shit for so long until you start to fucking crack up. So it's important for those of us who do this type of thing, basically help people get the news and help people understand things and offer political commentary. Like, it's important for us to take days off every now and then. Poor fucking Hassan, like, he's just been going through, like, he does this shit for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. God bless him. But, like, you can only do this stuff for so long. Like, that's why you see journalists cracking down on air. Okay, like, there's this Chinese journalist over in Gaza. She just broke down, started crying. This shit is traumatic. This shit is it's horrible stuff to see. So with that, before we launch into the main topic of tonight's discussion, protests and why the fascist state hates them, I'm going to play for you some Iraqi drill music. Yes, Iraqi, pro-Palestine, pro-Al-Aqsa flood drill music. This just shows that black music and black culture is global, and it is also the culture of resistance. اعلموا أيها الأمم والهزيم لأن الله معنا لأن الله معنا ها يا القبيلة طير الفينيخ من يحترق وكري واللي طيور على أشكالها. Do not ask me for translations. I think I've made it clear this past week or so that I do not understand Arabic. Maybe it's a good time for me to learn, though. تهبط طلعت الخناجر من ظهري دمنا ودم الخاين ما يخبط شلعناهم بشكل جذري ومسلطن كأني ما أدري احنا قعدنا من الغارة بدري كلاشينكوف من أخمسه يخرج أنا من وطن غارق بفتن لعوج الماشي الحق الانسجن شهيد واغتيل وأمهات بجن والجليد جايهم فتح باللبن لا تقول الزمن أنا أخوك ترى حقك اندفن ربك يدرب الباعة للوطن وما حد اشترى سلم قضيته وخذها من خطير ونص يصير يقط ما تهم عملات اشخام وطي حط ولا حمته رخيصه بناره ما يمط الباني كونكريت ما يماثل الجص هاند تو هاند if your hand can write وجاله جانجرين اليميني قص من غزه 3 و 4 ويك لايك في فيلس ايضا فيلس طز عرين وسود اذا تريد وتخش الخرطه اللي ترش مكلوحهم لاخوتي your stuff didn't move me هيدروجين الاول قروبي لك وخرو من نانه بس ربك يحوشني ذراع طويله تخط لك بالكوفي arms extend like monkey D لوفي لأن الله معنا لأن الله معنا لأن الله معنا
حاصر حصارك لا مفر سقطت ذراعك فالتقطها واضرب عدوك لا مفر وسقطت قربك فالتقطني واضرب عدوك بي فأنت الآن حر وحر قتلاك أو جرحاك فيك ذخيرة فاضرب عدوك ذهب الذين تحبهم ذهبوا فإما أن تكون أو لا تكون
I cannot understand anything they're saying, but it's based. It goes hard. It is the anthem of Black Palestinian solidarity. Now I want to really learn Arabic. I do not want to listen to Eminem. So, what's the situation like on the ground over there right now? Gaza's desperate civilians search for food, water, and safety as warnings of Israeli offensive mount. So, here we've got the Israelis posted up, waiting to go in and slaughter whoever they can find. Just hanging out. Just bros being dudes. Well, bros and gals being dudes because Israel really plays up their multi-gender, multicultural military, kind of like the U.S. does.
In formation that are getting ready for for the next stage of operations. They are all around
You understood the Luffy line because it's in English.
the Gaza Strip, in the south, in the center, and in the north, and they are preparing themselves for whatever target they will get, whatever task.
Yeah, they're getting ready for a ground invasion. They're going to send in tanks. Their Air Force has already been cratering Gaza for several days, all fucking week. They've basically ordered 1.1 million people who live in northern Gaza to head south. And yeah, they gave a hospital like 12 hours to evacuate. Like, I don't know how many of you all have worked in hospitals, but yeah, that's not going to happen. So they're basically saying, you know what? If you can't get out, fuck you. So horrible scenes. This is near Lebanon, so they're getting ready for a war on two fronts. You don't do that. Not a good way to pop shit off. It's a way to overextend yourself. But just scenes of horrific destruction. Troops everywhere. So, casualty numbers, 1,300 Israelis and others were killed in Israel. On the 7th, since the 7th. The Gaza Health Ministry said that over 2,200 people have been killed in the very small territory. Like, people do not understand how small Gaza is. Like, I saw a map of Gaza laid over my hometown, St. Louis, and, like, it is tiny. Israel dropped leaflets over Gaza City in the north and renewed warnings on social media, ordering more than 1 million Gaza residents to move south. The military says that it's trying to clear away civilians ahead of a concentrated campaign against Hamas militants in the north, including what is said were underground hideouts in Gaza City. Hamas urged people to stay in their homes. Okay, first of all, if you're waging a guerrilla war, like guerrilla fighters, like these Hamas, and people just lump every Palestinian militant group into Hamas. Okay, there are several factions that are militarily led by Hamas that are taking part in the Al-Aqsa Storm campaign, but they just lump them all into Hamas because it sounds scary, which is propaganda number one. Well, rule of propaganda number one. If you're a guerrilla fighter, you do not stay in one place. Like, that is a no-no. The people that attacked Israeli territory the other day, like, they're probably long fucking gone by now. This is a concerted attack on the people of Gaza as a whole. Nothing more. This is not a military operation. It is preparation for butchery. That's all. You have the American imperialist-controlled UN, who's even shaking its head at this. The UN and aid groups say that such a rapid exodus, along with Israel's siege of the 40-kilometer, 25-mile-long territory, would cause untold human suffering. The World Health Organization said that the evacuation could be tantamount to a death sentence. They voted for Hamas. You know what? I do not have time for your shit. Adios. The World Health Organization said that the evacuation could be tantamount to a death sentence for the more than 2,000 patients in northern hospitals, including newborns and incubators and people in intensive care. Gaza's hospitals are expected to run out of fuel for emergency generations within 2 days, according to the UN, which said that would endanger the lives of thousands of patients. Guess who doesn't care? Israel doesn't care. So, water has stopped coming out of taps. It's basically a shitty situation. They've knocked them back to the fucking Bronze Age. And why? Because it makes them easier to kill. So, to protests. Glorify Hamas and you break the law, says UK terror watchdog. Of course, the UK is a Tory-run, ridiculous basket case of a state, but they're basically have cops at protests in the United Kingdom who are tasked with looking for any support for Hamas, which is rapidly being conflated to mean any support for armed resistance whatsoever. Speeches at pro-Palestinian rallies in the UK might have glorified terrorism. This is very rich. Like, the UK is the number one, well, was for a century and a half, the number one terrorist power in the world. Like, these people declared war on China just so that they could traffic Indian opium. These people have toppled governments along with the CIA. These people have killed many, many billions of people, like hundreds of millions of people in India alone. They destroyed Ireland for centuries. They destroyed Africa for centuries. They destroyed a wide-ass chunk of Asia for centuries. But now they're so concerned about terrorism. Suella Braverman says that the full force of the law should be used against support for Hamas, a proscribed terrorist group. Have they done anything about all those UVF assholes that they still have running around in Ulster? Like, look close to home. You're worried about shit taking place halfway around the world. Like, you've still got loyalist terrorists running amok and killing people in Ulster. Mr. Sunak told broadcasters inciting violence, racial hatred is illegal. So are you going to do something about all of the people who are calling Palestinians basically savage rape monsters? Because that's what I've been seeing. Like, every pro-Palestine protest that I've seen, you're going to see some also in a few minutes. There has been nothing attacking Jews as a people. There are many, many Jewish comrades on Twitter and on other places who are saying that, like, I have never, ever felt threatened at a pro-Palestine demonstration. The only people that I've seen attacking people, getting people put out of their homes, getting people sacked from their jobs, macing people at protests, and generally acting a goddamn fool are Zionists and the cops who support them. This is what they worried about. At a pro-Palestine rally in Manchester on October 8th, a day after Hamas attacked Israel, a man wearing a red football shirt with Palestine written on the back told the crowd, "We have all seen these scenes, and it is the most inspiring act of resistance." The man then praises a UK group called Palestine Action and urges people to boycott the hell out of Israel. Okay, so where is he calling for violence? Palestine Action is an organization that advocates direct action against companies it says supply arms or weapons components to Israel. A number of its activists are due to stand trial on a variety of charges. In Manchester on October 8th, Mr. Bernard said in his speech, "When we hear the resistance, the Al-Aqsa flood, we must turn that flood into a tsunami of the whole world." When you go home, ask yourself, what can you sacrifice for Palestine? Can you sacrifice a night in a police station for taking action against Israeli weapons factories? Can you sacrifice days in court? Okay, none of this is illegal. Like, this dude is not calling for violence against anybody. Mr. Barnard goes on to continue to say, "Nothing has changed by not breaking the law. Mandela in South Africa, Martin Luther King. Yeah, and we're seeing more and more in this country that people are taking matters into their own hands, that politicians have failed. There is no democratic process for Palestine in this country." Okay? So the UK obviously doesn't give a fuck about free speech. It doesn't. Like, one thing about me, like, I'm a firm supporter of freedom of speech. Okay? Unless it's like outright hate speech, like kill all of certain group, like, you should be allowed to say it. Like, I'm very American in that way. Big supporter of the First Amendment. But UK is like fucking, you can't say shit over there. I'm glad I'm not British. I'd have been in jail a long time ago. So, more from the BBC. Israel says military preparing to attack Gaza by air, sea, and land. So it's pretty clear whose side the Brits are on. I'm totally helpless. Husband of new mother missing since Hamas attacks. Like, this is the thing that gets me. Like, they are so focused on the Israeli victims. How many Palestinian victims do we know? Like, does the average person know? If you're in the movement, of course you're going to know people. Because, like, there are people that you are in contact with who have people in Gaza who have died. But, like, every single Israeli victim that has been identified, their name is being blasted everywhere. And I'm not saying, like, they should not be remembered, okay? Like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not an inhuman, cruel, wicked person. This is a war. Innocent people die in wars. And I'm also not one of those weirdos that says that, like, all Israelis should be driven into the sea. When we talk about the necessity of toppling the settler colonial order in Israel, we're talking about the state. We're talking about the fascist regime that oppresses Palestinians and citizens and residents of Israel alike. I support a one-state solution. Most people with common fucking sense support a one-state solution because it's possible for Jewish and Muslim and Christian people to live together in peace, but not when you have this ridiculous fascist ethno state, because that's essentially what Israel is. When you have this fascist state that is getting its own citizens killed, like they've been bombing the fuck out of Gaza, killing their own citizens, that shows how much they give a fuck about these people. Like, with a state like that, you're never going to have peace. You are never going to have peace until there is a just resolution to the land question, meaning land back. Israel has to give the land back that it stole. And it must make recompense to what it has been doing to the Palestinian people since 1948. It's really that simple. I'm a firm supporter of peace, but like peace with common fucking sense. That's all. All right. So, these are the types of people.
Where are you from?
These are the types of people that Israel is empowering. Okay, you've got a Palestinian dude down here, and you've got a couple Israeli IDF soldiers who just watch this interaction, so that when they ask us to feel sorry for Israeli troops getting killed, like, this is the quality of people that they're sending that is getting ready to invade Gaza. You saw those tanks and shit. So this is what they're sending down there.
I'm from Israel.
Are you
They're not sending their best.
IDF soldier?
Yes, I am.
Didn't the IDF, they bombed Gaza and they
Yeah, of course.
they killed hundreds of children?
I don't know about it, okay? I just know that we bombed them because they bombed us, okay? And
What about before that? Why did they bomb you guys?
I don't know why, okay? Maybe something like...
So you're getting ready to go to a war and probably die for some shit that you don't know anything about. Like, do they not? I guess they do the same thing that they do in the United States. They basically obscure history so that nobody knows why exactly there's millions of people mad at you.
a lot of years ago, but...
You don't know the information? Before Israel, 1948, it was Palestine.
Yeah.
No, it's called Israel.
No,
So you got this one guy on the left who's obviously ignorant. He's drafted. He doesn't know what the fuck he's getting ready to get into. And you got this dude, this Palestinian dude. They're having a civil discussion. So now you got this asshole sitting over here in front of the fucking TV. Let's see what asshole has to say.
Palestine before 1948.
Maybe it is.
And it still is. Right now it's occupied Palestine, yes.
Yeah.
I wish IDF
So yeah, this guy, the guy that he's initially talking to, is obviously dumb as a sack of bricks. It's occupied Palestine now. Yep.
promoted them. Okay?
And then you got this asshole who is supporting the murder of children.
And I wish the IDF would find you and kill you, okay?
Why?
Okay.
No, I don't know.
The motherfuckers, only Israel, no Palestine. And if you talk it like again, I will.
So you got this asshole, this bearded asshole, sitting off to the right, who's basically saying that he doesn't respect this dude's identity. He doesn't respect what this dude calls his land, and he's currently threatening to sodomize him.
You in your okay? Motherfucker.
Wait, does he kill innocent Palestinians?
I kill every Palestinian I see.
So every Palestinian you see, you kill?
Every Palestinian I see, I just.
Very enlightening clip. So when you see Israeli news reporters reading off the people that have been murked by the Palestinian resistance, remember this clip. Sear it into your memory. In the United States, you have Post 9/11 style suppression of Muslims. MSNBC has taken 3 Muslim journalists off anchoring duties. The U.S. news network MSNBC has reportedly removed 3 prominent Muslim journalists from anchoring duties since Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th and the subsequent Israeli bombardment of Gaza. MSNBC reversed plans for Ayman Moyeldin to fill in for another host on Thursday and Friday, and a scheduled airing of Mehdi Hassan's show on Thursday was not shown, according to news website Semaphore. The website also reported that another host would fill in for Ali Velshi this weekend. So Ali is apparently over there right now. So that explains why he's not on the air, but the other 2, what the fuck is wrong with you? There's apparently dissent among the ranks of the IDF. I don't speak Hebrew, but he's basically giving a speech to these troops and is saying that there have been traitors. People have been deserting, and people have been leaving, and people have been like, I'm not doing this shit. Most of them are probably scared. I would wager that people actively serving in the IDF probably don't really give a shit about what happens to Gaza or Palestinians, because if they did, they would have joined the conscription resistance movement. But yeah, unjust wars always sow dissent among the ranks of the occupying army.
יש פה לוחמים גיבורים שבאו עם הנשק שלהם כמו שהם וחתרו למגע. זה הגדוד.
Just from his body language, he looks worried. You got all these guys back here standing around with arms crossed. Not very good body language from an army that's getting ready to invade someplace.
והשמידו מחבלים.
Yeah, he's scared. So, France and Germany have banned or severely restricted anti-apartheid protests and pro-Palestine protests. Let's see what the brother has to say.
Against free speech.
Like, do you realize, like, France is basically world-renowned for militant protests? This is the home of the Yellow Jackets. They just threw down a few months ago after the police murder of an Algerian kid. Like, they literally guillotined their last king and several other aristocrats. Like, France knows how to throw down. This is the home of the Paris Commune, the very first socialist state. But now they feel so threatened by militant displays of Palestinian solidarity that they have outright banned all pro-Palestine protests. Like, America wouldn't even do that. Like, you cannot just ban a protest. You cannot just severely restrict people's freedom of speech.
Macron in France has now banned pro-Palestinian protests. You also have Berlin, Germany.
The literal home of the Nazi Party, the literal state that committed the Holocaust, is now getting ready to criminalize and impose criminal penalties on Jewish pro-Palestine demonstrators.
Who is also banning pro-Palestinian activism. Western liberal democracy is just violent, rank authoritarianism in disguise. Tell me more about how China and Russia are uniquely authoritarian.
They are still authoritarian.
Western liberal democracy.
All bourgeois states are authoritarian because all bourgeois states serve the interests of the ruling class.
Democracies allow people to criticize their government because they know they have a police state that will crush any dissent if any of that criticism is put into action. The same way that the United States is labeling activists as domestic terrorists and engaging in state violence for them speaking out against Cop City. This is the same way that the UK is cracking down on anti-monarch protesters who are challenging the legitimacy of the ridiculous royal family. These motherfuckers in the UK, they still worship a king.
That is the most rizless monarch I have ever seen. Like, he just looks like he's fucking senile. Like, kings, if you're going to have them, they're supposed to be like virile. They're supposed to be strong. They're supposed to be like somebody that you would follow into battle, because that's what all of these aristocratic titles come from. Like dukes, marquises, Earls, like those were originally military titles. For example, a marquise, that was somebody who held land in a march. So a march is basically like an area. It's basically like the U.S.-Mexico border. So a marcher lord, a marquise, was somebody who basically had to guard the border to stop enemies from coming in. So imagine this dude, like this. Can you imagine riding on a horse behind this motherfucker in the battle? Like, if you're still gonna have monarchs and shit, oh yeah, they're still inbreeding. You got to keep that. You got to keep those saggy jaws going, man.
People of France is challenging the legitimacy of the law by
Nous sommes tous des Palestiniens.
still engaging in pro-Palestinian protests anyway. So France then responds with intense violence on the protesters, including using tear gas, which is a war crime.
Thing is, like, most protests, like, they don't turn violent until the police do something to make them turn violent. Like, I don't know how the fuck you think you could just spray somebody with a water hose, a fire hose, a water cannon, or shoot dangerous ass chemicals at them and not expect them to be ready to throw down. Like, if you just leave them alone, let them march around, let them yell, they will go home eventually. But when you start beating them with sticks and tear gassing them and hitting them with water cannons, they're going to be pissed. You hurt me, I'm going to fuck you up. But police don't have any good sense.
Their own people. Western liberal democracy is a sham. Anyone else notice that the quote-unquote free speech absolutists on the right are quiet as a mouse when it comes to the West cracking down on the free speech of people who support a free Palestine?
Really dinks your dunk, doesn't it? Oh, more on this. France has banned pro-Palestinian protests and vowed to protect Jews from resurgent anti-Semitism. Somebody also got stabbed. The Louvre Museum and Versailles have been evacuated after bomb threats. And, like, there is no proof that any of this is connected to the Palestinian Solidarity Movement. Not an iota. The government has put France on high alert after a fatal school stabbing by a suspected extremist. And Macron is deploying 7,000 troops. 7,000 troops after a deadly school stabbing. Imagine if they sent the National Guard out every time some white kid who didn't take his fucking Xanax or Prozac shot up a school. There'd be troops in our streets 24/7. But, like, this is fucking nuts. Apparently this guy that did the stabbing was from the Ingushetia region, which neighbors Chechnya. This entire hunk of Russia is pissed at the Russian government. They have been since Stalin deported their ancestors. So, yeah, they've got a beef, and a lot of radicals come out of that neck of the woods. The attacker's exact motive remains unclear, and he is reportedly refusing to speak to investigators. So, yeah. But Macron had already resolved to ban this stuff long before that happened. Let us not bring ideological adventures here to France. Okay, if there's one thing that France is known for, it's for ideological adventures. Like French socialist experiments were pretty key to Marx and Engels' synthesis of Marxism. By imitation or by projection, let us not add national fractures to international fractures. Let us stay united. France has never been united. How many civil wars have y'all had? Like May 68 literally toppled your government. But that's Macron. He's probably going to be sacked next election anyways. Well, fuck him. Good statement from a branch of my org. Denver DSA stands with Palestine. Denver DSA unequivocally stands in solidarity with the people of Palestine in their fight for liberation from the apartheid regime of Israel. Palestinians have endured 75 years of dispossession, colonization, desecration, torture, and confinement at the hands of the Israeli government, enabled financially, politically, and culturally by the U.S. The path to liberation must include ceasing all U.S. aid to Israel, lifting the blockade of Gaza, ending Zionist settler colonialism, and ensuring the right for Palestinians to return to their homeland. Yesterday, a wealthy and well-funded nuclear power with the financial, political, and cultural support of the United States began forcefully evacuating 1.1 million civilians from Gaza City during an ongoing indiscriminate carpet bombing campaign, which has already killed thousands of civilians, injured tens of thousands, and displaced hundreds of thousands. Israel has cut off food, water, fuel, electricity, and medical care from Gaza's 2.3 million citizens, half of whom are kids. These civilians have been deemed human animals by the Israeli defense minister overseeing these attacks. So the IDF, or IOF, is the preferred language. Who the fuck is Nick? Bunch of fucking weirdos coming in here. Anyways, have been deemed human animals by the IDF, who committed to treat them accordingly. An open declaration of genocide. Yet even now, the American war machine readies itself to ship more weapons and send more military funding to support Israel's extermination of the Palestinian people for daring to resist their brutal, unlivable conditions. Border walls, military checkpoints, crippling sanctions, restricted water and electricity, food scarcity, impoverishment, denial of medical care, and routine bombings are the material conditions that Palestinians have been forced to live under for over 75 years. Backed by the U.S., the Israeli Occupation Forces, IOF, brutally murder Palestinians with impunity, over 8,000 since 2000 and thousands since October 7th. The IOF... Wait, I'm sorry, I thought you were my buddy Nick. You look just like him. Holy crap, that's crazy. Well, your buddy Nick is a very handsome man. I thought you were getting ready to say a racial slur. I'm sorry. For 16 years, Gaza has been transformed into an open-air prison wherein the IOF concentrates 2.3 million people in an area smaller than Denver and bombs them in politically motivated campaigns they sadistically term mowing the grass. Bloodshed is a universal tragedy, but under apartheid and occupation, some lives are deemed more precious than others. The negative blowback of apartheid should come as no shock. People who are oppressed will perpetually seek ways to free themselves from that oppression. The murder of Palestinians has been a systematically invisibilized occurrence for decades. When Palestinians quietly suffer the daily violence inflicted on them, the West calls that peace. Denver DSA realizes that the only true and lasting peace must be predicated on liberation from occupation. And it is towards that goal that we resolve ourselves today. We call on all DSA members and endorsed DSA electeds to stand unequivocally in support of Palestinian people's right to resist. We encourage all DSA chapters to stand with the people of Palestine and organize turnout to local demonstrations. May Palestine be free, from the river to the sea. Very good statement. A lot of people have been picking various statements apart. I was one of them, but they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're trying to support the occupation inadvertently by saying that any mention of the slogan, the well-known slogan, from the river to the sea, or any mention of the right of people to resist violence with violence, they're saying that makes DSA look bad. No, what makes DSA look bad is this hemming and hawing and refusing to realize that the shit has hit the fan. This is a literal Auschwitz survivor. My message for the Palestinians is that they should not give up their fight. Fight with stones, with weapons. Yes, also with weapons. This is Hajo Meyer, an Auschwitz survivor and an anti-Zionist hero. So you've got a guy that survived the literal motherfucking Holocaust saying that, yeah, it's right to throw down if people are trying to murder you. Yet, some people just don't fucking get it. Also, the resistance will be dripped out as fuck. You got a fucking gold ass Mercedes Benz. Of course, some of the smelly trots and left comms would call these people bourgeois, but who gives a fuck? Lenin literally stole a Rolls Royce from the Tsar and put ski treads on it. Anyway, how you doing, brother? I am well, and I don't think we're related. But I appreciate it. This is a Pixar movie in the making. This is so cute. This girl survived the opening day of the Hamas action. See, look at me. I talk like a fucking American journalist. But she survived. She is a resident of Kibbutz Be'eri, and she has something to say.
בת 19 מקיבוץ בארי. הדבר הכי גרוע, חוץ מלשמוע את כל השמות של המתים והנעדרים והשבויים, הדבר הכי גרוע במיידי לא היה לשכב בחושך בממד, זה לא היה לשמוע את היריות, זה לא היה אפילו בזמן אמיתי לקבל התראות מחברי קיבוץ שלי, שמות שהכרתי מאז שאני מכירה את עצמי, מבקשים לעזרה ואף אחד לא בא. הדבר הכי גרוע בשבילי, חוץ מהמתים והשבויים והחטופים, זה הרגע שבו יצאתי מהבית כשפינו אותנו והיה חושך והייתי יחפה ודרכתי על זכוכית.
I'm a brother through Christ. I'm an atheist. But thank you. I appreciate your seeing brotherhood in all people. I was saying that the United States empire has been going straight gutter since 1776. It didn't just start in the last decade.
וראיתי את הפנים של אנשים מהשכונה שלי. פחד. פחד אלוהים. וראיתי פנים שהכרתי מאז שאני זוכרת את עצמי. כמו שאף פעם לא ראיתי אותם. דמעות. אנשים שגדלתי איתם. פחד. וזה להסתובב פה. רק הגעתי לים המלח.
So she was evacuated from the kibbutz that she was living on. Kibbutzim are like they're like little communes in the desert. They're all on stolen land, but like I think Bernie Sanders lived on one. They're like proto-socialist. Everybody, well, back in the day, like everybody used to eat in the same dining room. All of the farm equipment was held communally. It's pretty cool, but it's still on stolen land.
זה להסתובב פה במקום הזה ולראות את הפנים של חברי הקיבוץ שלי מנסים להצליח לקום בבוקר, להחזיק מעמד, לחייך מדי פעם. כל אחד והדרך שלו. וזה לאסוף את עצמי בכל בוקר. וזה לא הרבה בקרים, אבל בכל בוקר זאת הייתה משימה מאוד מאוד קשה לאסוף את עצמי. מה שקרה לנו היה מזעזע. אבל יש משהו שמאוד חשוב לי להגיד.
You also have to keep in mind, like, this girl has went through it, regardless of who inflicted it. I am by no means a both-sidist, but, like, this was extremely traumatizing shit. This girl is 19 fucking years old. She should be worried about who she's going to take to high school prom. I don't know if they have proms in Israel, but, like, she should be worried about stuff like that. But instead, she got caught up in the middle of a war because her ancestors came to a country and stole somebody else's land. Like, I feel for her. I really do. But, like, she's severely traumatized. Yet she still speaks with more clarity and more common fucking sense than the fucking prime minister. Like, they should make her prime minister because Bibi Netanyahu is a fucking nut. Like, he's willing to cast the Middle East into war for the rest of this century just to have his fucking way. Just to say he did it. Make her prime minister.
מה שקרה לנו לא היה חדש, פשוט גרוע יותר. מפקירים אותנו שנים. שנים.
I don't know. There were great times in America for white people, but my ancestors picked cotton, bruh. And then they were sharecroppers picking cotton again. And then they worked in factories, and then they were unemployed. So I don't know what good times you're talking about, but yeah, if you're white, yeah, y'all have had some swell times.
אל תגידו
At our expense.
כיפת ברזל, זה פלסטר. אל תגידו חיילים, זה פלסטר. זה פלסטר, בן אדם גוסס, אתם מביאים לו פלסטר. בושה. בושה. ושנים אנחנו מדברים על זה. שנים. מפקירים אותנו. לכאן זה מגיע. זה לא היה חדש, רק גרוע יותר. וזה לא הדבר היחיד שהוא לא חדש, אלא רק...
It sounds like Hebrew, considering she's Israeli and lived on a kibbutz. I assume she's speaking Hebrew. They're both Semitic languages, so they share many similarities.
גרוע יותר במלחמה הזאת. ואני מנסה למצוא את המילים, כי בכנות קצת קשה למצוא אותן עם כל הכעס והאבל שיש בתוכי כרגע. איך אני אמורה לקום בבוקר, אזרחי ישראל, פוליטיקאים, תושבי ישראל, חול, לא אכפת לי מי שומע, תקשיבו לי טוב. איך אני אמורה לקום בבוקר ולדעת ש4.5 קילומטרים מקיבוץ בארי, בעזה, יש אנשים שזה לא נגמר בשבילם. בשבילי זה נגמר אחרי 12 שעות, כי היה לאן להוציא אותי.
So she acknowledges her privilege. She acknowledges the fact that her relative material comfort is available at the expense of other people, and there are other people who are going to suffer in her name. So she has come to this realization, and she is challenging it at 19 years old. Remarkable.
אני בים המלח. מי שמדבר על נקמה, תתביישו. יש הרבה כאב, זה נכון.
Keep in mind, like, this girl actually went through this shit. The people sitting in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, yeah, they faced the rockets, but, like, she was on one of the kibbutzes that Hamas attacked. And she is saying, like, don't level the fucking place in my name. That is not what we're going to do.
אני, אחרי כל מה שעברתי, כל כך הרבה כוחות אני מאבדת בכל פעם שאני שומעת את המילה נקמה. מה שאני עברתי, שאנשים יעברו את זה ולא יהיה מי שיוציא אותם. אי אפשר ככה, אי אפשר ככה, ולא, אי אפשר עוד פלסטרים. שואלים אותנו כל הזמן, אתם חושבים שתחזרו לקיבוץ אחרי זה? אתם חושבים שתחזרו לגור שם? בלי עוד הגנה, בלי עוד חיילים, בלי עוד זה? אל תגידו לי חיילים, אל תגידו לי הגנה, תגידו לי פתרון מדיני. כבר שנים אנחנו מבקשים פתרון מדיני. אני בת 19. יש לי חברים שנפלו בקרב כחיילים בימים האחרונים, שכשהם היו בגן הם ידעו מה הם רוצים להיות בצבא. שאני אגדל ככה את הילדים שלי? בושה! בושה וחרפה. שאני אגדל את הילדים שלי ואני אשאל אותם כשהם בני 5, תגיד חמודי מה אתה רוצה להיות בצבא? כמה אפשר? כמה אפשר לאבד? כמה אפשר לספוג? אנחנו, מי שיצא, אנחנו הוכחה חיה ומהלכת. ותאמינו לי, מי ששומע את זה, שאנחנו... זה עוד יכול להיות יותר גרוע. זה יכול להיות. מבחינתי, וזה הדבר שהכי חשוב לי להגיד כרגע, וזה ככה כבר שנים. כשמפציצים אותנו בטילים, בסופו של דבר זה דברים שעוברים לנו מעל הראש. לא הטילים, הטילים לא עוברים מעל הראש, הטילים נוחתים יפה באדמה, תאמינו לי. ההחלטה להפציץ בטילים, זה מעל הראש שלי. ביבי, חמאס, לא אכפת לי. מה שאני יודעת זה שבארי סובלת, נחל עוז סובלת, כפר עזה, שדרות ועזה. תאמינו לי שכל קסם 4.5 קילומטר מרחק, האדמה בבארי ובעזה רועדת בדיוק אותו דבר. בדיוק אותו דבר. אי אפשר, אי אפשר. עכשיו, אני יודעת שיש הרבה כעס על ביבי, כי אני מרגישה אותו. אני מרגישה אותו חזק מאוד, ברגעים שאני מצליחה להרגיש, כי בזמן האחרון זה קצת קשה. אני מרגישה אותו, כי כמה אנשים כמה אנשים צריכים למות בשבילו? כמה אנשים צריכים למות בשביל האגו, בשביל האינטרסים? אין לי מושג אם כבר אמרתי את זה, אבל... טילים? במיוחד בהתקפה האחרונה. כי אתם יודעים, לפני שהיו מחבלים, שמעתי יותר טילים מששמעתי ב-19 שנות חיים. בבת אחת. בבת אחת. בום, 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 בום. הרבה. הרבה מאוד. ומיד ידענו שזאת מלחמה. לפני מחבלים, לפני הכל. אנחנו תמיד הראשונים שיודעים.
She could be pardoned for calling the resistance fighters terrorists because, like, this girl is going to have PTSD for the rest of her fucking life. She's seen some horrible shit. Like everybody who goes through a fucking war.
תמיד הראשונים ששומעים. שומעים אצלנו. ואני אגיד לכם שהטילים, מבחינתי, הטילים שמקים אותנו, זה מרגיש כאילו זה טילים שהממשלה שלי שלחה. כי זאת הממשלה שהפקירה אותי. כל שנות חיי. כל שנות חיי, ועכשיו מגיע הגרוע מכל. ואם זה לא הגרוע מכל, אלוהים יודע מה יהיה איתנו. עכשיו, זה נכון שביבי וביבי, ובאמת, שאני מאשימה אותו ב100%, בהכל. זה נכון. הוא בחר לתת לנו לחיות ככה. הוא בחר לתת לנו כיפת ברזל במקום פתרון מדיני. והוא בחר גם עוד הרבה דברים אחרים. והדם שלנו על הידיים שלו. אבל זה לא רק הוא. הוא שורש של בעיה עמוקה מאוד, אבל זה לא רק הוא. אם המילים שלי מגיעות למישהו, תסתכלו טוב טוב פנימה, עמוק פנימה. תשאלו את עצמכם מה הערכים שלכם, תשאלו את עצמכם סביב כל מה שאתם רואים, איך הערכים שאתם יודעים שיש לכם נוגעים למה שאתם רואים. תשאלו את עצמכם טוב טוב, תשאלו את עצמכם למי אתם מצביעים, תשאלו את עצמכם מה אתם מבקשים ממנו. אני יודעת מה אני מבקשת. אני מבקשת שלום הוגן. אני מבקשת שהבדואים בנגב יקבלו עזרה כמו שקיבוץ בארי קיבל עזרה. וגם אנחנו לא מספיק, כי אין אזרחים באו לעזור לנו, אזרחים. הממשלה בשום מקום. ויש לי הרבה תודה על זה שיש לנו מלון בים המלח. אבל בשנייה כל אדם כאן היה מוותר על זה, אם זה היה אומר שהשבויים שלנו היו חוזרים. דרך אגב, מהממשלה פעמיים שמעתי התייחסות לזה שהם קיימים בכלל, מתנהגים כאילו הם לא קיימים. מפציצים ויודעים שההפצצה הזאת תעלה להם גם כן בחיים. החזרת שבויים, שלום, הגינות והוגנות. אם אין לכם את האוזניים לשמוע את מה שאמרתי עכשיו, אין תקווה. תעצרו טוב טוב, תשקלו את המילים שלי, תקשיבו. אולי לחלקכן הם יהיו קשים לשמוע, קשות. קשה לי לדבר, רואים? קשה לי לדבר. אולי לחלקכם המילים האלה יהיו קשות לשמוע. עם מה שאני עברתי בבארי, אתם חייבים לי את זה. אתם חייבים לי את זה. לא בקטע של אשמה. כולנו עוברים הרבה. קחו הפסקות. תטפלו בעצמכם, תשמרו על עצמכם, תשמרו על המשפחות. אבל אתם חייבים לי את זה. תשאלו את עצמכם למי אתם מצביעים, תשאלו מה אתם מבקשים ממנו, ואל תתפשרו. אם אתם נותנים לתקווה למות, אתם נותנים לתושבי עוטף עזה למות. שוב. אין לי עוד מה להגיד.
Beautiful statement. Be good if all people in Israel actually thought like her. But unfortunately, I would wager that an irritating majority, a very loud majority, think like that IDF asshole who wanted to sodomize a Palestinian dude for referring to his country by its proper name on the internet. So we've got France banning protests. We've got this very intelligent 19-year-old Israeli girl who has seen some horrible shit. And we've got big-ass protests. This is Glasgow in Scotland, which hopefully will be independent very soon. Scotland now actually has a reputation for left-wing politics. I'm sorry about the ads, comrades. So, pretty decent Couple thousands. I'm talking about Palestine. I'm not here to talk to fucking whiskey chasers idiocy. It's fucking Uncle Tom shit. Thousands of fucking people are dying in Gaza, and here you are wanting to be a fucking Uncle Tom.
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be
This is Chicago.
free! Palestine will be free! Make some noise, y'all.
Chicago. So, like, keep in mind that Zionists would love to attack stuff like this. As a matter of fact, they already have. They've been macing people. One guy ran a truck into some people saying "fuck Palestine." I think this was in New York. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but people still turn out because it's important. And it was kind of chilly in the Midwest today. It's not clashes, conflicts, both sides. Free Palestine from apartheid, colonialism, and genocide. From Chicago's kids to Gaza's kids. Israeli occupation checklist. Genocide, ethnic cleansing, apartheid, and fake democracy. People should protect their identity. The Canary Mission and other Zionist orgs will try to fuck your life up for supporting Palestine. That is true. I'm going to get to that later. This is Washington, D.C. Big turnout in the belly of the beast. Huge crowd in D.C. This is New York. This is a group called Nodudol. It's a Korean group demonstrating very good international solidarity. I've also seen some good stuff from Filipino comrades from the International League of People Struggle, ILPS.
Koreans, we know that imperialism is our common enemy.
There's one thing that PSL is going to do. They're always going to show up at every protest that has something to do with something going on overseas with their ugly ass yellow and black signs. More power to them.
There is a reason the United States wants Korea divided and Palestine occupied.
And Workers' World. Holy shit, they're standing next to each other. Oh, that's nice. PSL actually split off from Workers' World in 2004 because they were beefing over the Answer Coalition.
At the same time, the imperialists tremble at the thought of our independence because it is our dependence that keeps them rich. There is a reason the Nakba and the division of Korea began at the same time, backed by the same interests. And there is a reason that while South Korean corporations profit from Zionism, North Korea has spent decades.
I don't fuck with any of those garbage ass groups. They're all revisionists and they all stink and they all smell bad and they all have crappy lines. Am I going to physically attack them? No. But would I join them? Absolutely not. They're basically booking protest clubs.
Arming and training the Palestinian resistance. Right. Kim Il-sung once said, the Korean people will continue to resolutely support the Palestinian people in liberating their homeland. We will always remain a close comrade in arms to the Palestinian and Arab people in the struggle against the common enemy.
Good speech.
As Koreans, we know that imperialism is our common enemy.
This is Los Angeles.
Careful.
So signs say 1 in 2 Gazans are children. Israel dropped 6,000 bombs on them. You don't need to be Muslim to stand up for Gaza. You know what? I really hate to ban a black person, but you are banned because you are annoying. Go to a pro-Palestine solidarity protest. You do not need to be Muslim to stand up for Gaza. You just need to be human. Free Palestine. This is not war. This is genocide.
We want justice, you say how? End the occupation now!
10 years ago, you would never hear people invoking the DPRK premiere in a speech in America, just loving it. Yeah. I know a bunch of y'all have watched my Juche video, but yeah. Kim Il-sung wasn't the worst person to lead a country in human history. Victoria a la Resistencia. Viva, viva Palestina. So I see a lot of comrades like actually displaying good discipline. Sunglasses, hat, bandana. Protect your identity, because Zionists, they will stand around and they will take pictures of you at these things, and they will try to identify you. If you're unmasked, it is very easy to identify you. You didn't miss a Kim speech. You missed a member of a Korean solidarity organization giving a speech to a Palestine solidarity rally where he mentioned that Kim Il-sung was a fervent supporter of the cause of Palestinian resistance. And the comrade said that 10 years ago, you would not have seen that. So that is true. But yeah, if you go to one of these things, like, it's very important that you protect your identity. If you want to avoid getting expelled from school, kicked out of your apartment on some flimsy pretext, or fired from your job. New Zealand supports Palestine. When I was in LA, I actually met a guy from New Zealand. Like, is there a substantial diaspora of people from New Zealand in Palestine? I mean, in LA or something?
When people are occupied, resistance is justified. Resistance is justified. When people are colonized, resistance is justified. Resistance is justified.
Also, I just like, when I'm at a protest, I refuse to chant. I just do not like chants. I don't know what it is with me, but I cannot stand chants.
Rest of Palestine.
Yeah, I saw it. Have I seen the clip making the rounds on TikTok and Twitter of Hassan crying over that Palestinian journalist that was killed by the IDF? I mean, yeah, the guy is human, isn't he? I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen over the past days, like, it's hard to not cry. Like, little kids being dragged out of rubble. Like, that is some taxing shit to look at.
Parents were both born and raised in Gaza, and their ancestors all brought up in Palestine. That Israel is, in this bystanding world, is tearing down and taking over.
This is Kansas City,
Today.
the city of fountains, or the city of piss by my estimation. I don't like Kansas City.
I lived in Gaza for 5 years, lived through 2 wars. The fear and suffering I've witnessed are beyond words, but it's nothing compared to what they are going through today.
Actually, Kansas City's a pretty cool little town. But since I'm from St. Louis, I am obliged to hate on them and call them the city of piss.
The people of Gaza go through these hardships daily. Right now, my family, including my mother and my brother, are in Gaza, living in constant fear for their lives. Everyone I talk to in Gaza say that this is the worst it's ever been.
Kansas pissy.
They've never seen anything like like this, never heard anything like this, and never smelled anything like this. The hardest part that I'm sure a lot of us can relate to is the guilt and the helplessness I feel. With countless sleepless nights, my heart is so heavy. I can't bear to see my family suffering, terrified, my people dying.
Why don't they get the people that are chanting to be quiet while she gives her speech? That's rude.
And I cannot do anything. Being here, we know we are privileged. We all have a roof over our heads, an income, an endless supply of food and water. Something they have to fight for and beg for. They fight, they stay strong on behalf of all of us here today. For our homeland, for our beloved holy land. For the sake of their freedom, and in turn, our freedom. The part that infuriates me is the news outlets. Their false manipulative bias that they use to gaslight the world into believing that 2 million innocent civilians are terrorists and human animals, and they deserve whatever they have coming to them. They deserve the brutal torture, imprisonment, displacement, and murder. The media and the leaders of so many countries are only making things worse. They fabricated a horrifying event, all to manipulate and scare people, to justify the suffering imposed on the Palestinian people. Try to fathom the immense power of this.
The one good thing that has come out of this is celebrities showing their true colors. Listen, if you seek political analysis from a celebrity, what's wrong with you? Like, do you go to fucking Justin Bieber when you want a nuanced and historically correct understanding of the situation over there? Of course not. Do you go to fucking Mary J. Blige or... Now, not gonna lie, there are some intelligent celebrities like Muhammad Ali. Like, there are some intelligent celebrities who actually give a shit about what's going on in the world. But most of these people are dumb as fucking bricks. So, yeah. I mean, if you seek political analysis from a celebrity, like, these people don't even write their own Twitter posts. They have a publicist whose job it is to write their Twitter posts for them because they have a habit of saying stupid and embarrassing things because all of them are high off fucking drugs almost 24/7. So, I mean, you don't seek information from those people. You seek entertainment from those people. I mean, you can also educate people and entertain them at the same time. That's why I'm here on Twitch at 1:33 in the morning, even though I have to go to work tomorrow. But hopefully, my adoring fans will retire me someday and I can do this 24/7. But until then, I gotta work. Anyways.
Hidden agenda, deliberately portraying Palestinians as barbaric savages. Do you know the reality that Palestinian Gaza lives in? Gaza Strip is approximately 25 miles long and 7 miles wide, with more than 2 million civilians packed into this small region, surrounded on all sides in what can be described as an open-air prison, a blockade, nowhere to hide. Palestinians go to sleep wondering how they'll wake up. Will they wake up under rubble? Will they wake up at all? We have one border.
Like, imagine that. Like, if I recall correctly, 90% of Gaza's kids have PTSD. Okay? Like, that's what we're shielded from in the Imperial Core. Right? Like, if you live in the hood, you, worst thing you have to worry about is a stray bullet passing through your window, right? Imagine going to sleep and not knowing literally if a bomb is going to come through your ceiling or a bomb is going to hit next door and destroy your apartment block. Like, we are insulated from that in the first world. Like, we have never, ever had that fear. Never. So when Palestinians are talking, like, I can sympathize and I can empathize as a black man in America, but I will never, ever know, like, 100% what they're going through. Only people who have lived in other war zones can relate to that shit. Like, that is a horrible, horrible fucking way to live. And it raises generation upon generation of desperate young people who, like, conditions radicalize you. Like, if you grow up in Gaza, you have no choice but to be radicalized. You have no choice but to be radicalized because you live in some radically atrocious and barbaric conditions imposed on you by an occupying power. Yeah, Chicago is a war zone. They call it Chirac, and there's gang warfare and squabbling over dope. But, like, are there bombs? Are there jets? Like, you go to sleep on the south side, are you going to wake up under rubble? Of course not.
By Egypt, you have to put yourself on a list in advance to be able to get out. The wait can take weeks, months, sometimes years, or it may never come along. And recently, they bombed that area to make sure nobody...
Also, why are people talking about Ja Rule? I haven't heard about Ja Rule since you put all those white kids on an island. What do you do now?
And no help gets in. What is this, mockery? They know that it was bombed, and they tell people, they tell the Palestinians, you can leave. They know there's no way out. They just wanted the viewers to think that the Palestinians had some sort of choice.
I haven't seen a tank in St. Louis since Ferguson, and even then it wasn't like a literal tank with a turret. It was an MRAP or a Humvee. Like, we call shit like that tanks, but like over there they've got tanks. Like, if you got tanks on your street, I don't know if they had them in LA in 92. I wasn't born yet. But like, if you got tanks on your street, you in a war zone. That is above and beyond anything we've seen in America for a while.
The electricity, water, food, medical aid supplies, all controlled by Israel. And with the amount of people living in Gaza, and the small...
You're making a Chappelle Show reference. You know, I haven't even thought about, well, I'm not going to lie. I have thought about Dave Chappelle, but I haven't like regularly watched Dave Chappelle since I was a kid. Didn't he go to South Africa because he was a crackhead and then get like rehabbed and then come back and hop on the anti-woke gravy train or something? He also is in, I think he lives in Ohio, and he doesn't want poor people living in his neighborhood. Fuck Dave Chappelle.
Supply, there isn't enough for everyone. The lack of medicine, lack of medical aid, and medical...
But I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't have like a nostalgic place in my heart for him. Like, I literally used to skip doing my homework to watch Chappelle's show.
Make it extremely difficult to treat all the wounded and sick.
But yeah, he fell off a decade ago. I don't follow him anymore. Except to see like what stupid thing he's done so that I can talk about it. I should do more like entertainment, pop culture content.
Adding to our death toll. Over 50% of Palestinians in Gaza are unemployed. How are they expected to live? On average, one civilian, if not more, die every single day in Gaza and in the West Bank. They live in police brutality, bombings, theft of homes, checkpoints, displacement, daily. Not to mention the demolition of homes and entire residential buildings that leaves hundreds of thousands of Palestinians homeless. This has gone on for 75 years. A full-on war erupts at least every 2 years. Can you imagine how many wars a child would have gone through if they make it to the age of 18? They are denied every single basic human right. So what makes them so dangerous? What makes them such a threat?
The Israelis are living on land that they stole from their ancestors. Hardened for life. Ask your honest question, as long as it's not something stupid.
The picture that the media in Israel...
It's too late at night for stupid questions.
...painted to the world is that Hamas attacked unprovoked, but that is false. Israel has been killing, beating, and kicking people out of their homes for months prior. Israel has also been trashing and destroying our holy Aqsa mosque. Through all of that, we've been silent. Israel has no respect for schools, mosques, churches, hospitals, ambulances, news outlets, press, refugee camps, you name it, they bomb everything. They break international laws every single year and are never Israel has used, and still is using, white phosphorus. The use of white phosphorus in a densely populated area has been forbidden since 1980.
One of my DSA comrades raised $50,000, might be more, to help a Palestinian children's charity. I know it's really easy to feel powerless because we're sitting here in the Imperial Core watching this stuff from multi-$1,000 streaming setups from our comfortable air-conditioned homes. Like it's really easy to feel powerless. I've seen several people say that. But keep in mind, Israel shut off Gaza's internet access. Israel shut off Gaza's electricity. Israel is murdering or crippling and wounding journalists or not allowing them to cover and report what's actually going on over there. Israel is doing all sorts of horrible shit. So those of us in the West can attend solidarity demos like this. Genzal, can you link me to one of those? You hear planes, tanks, and guns. Anyways, we can basically witness it because there's a news. Link me to it. There's like a news blackout. So it's important that that people like me and you like talk to your neighbors about this. I saw on Twitter that some Egyptian dudes who worked at a bodega in New York, if I recall correctly, were they were holding a teach-in about this. So it's very important to educate people about what's going on. Huh. Thanks for linking me to this. I'm going to follow them. But back to what I was saying. So yeah, really good speech. And we also have Biden is giving a speech at the Human Rights Council, which is notoriously trash. And he was interrupted by a brave Jewish activist.
Thank you for defending equal rights and dignity of all people, despite intense opposition and hate-filled rhetoric, even violence as people are moving. You're inspired. And I want you all to...
Yeah. Hillary Rodham Clinton's money laundering front.
We teach you Americans to know the Biden-Harris administration has your back. I know who's hollering down there.
Let's be honest, the only reason people in the West are emotionally invested in Israel and Ukraine is because they're white. Yes, plus the government tells them that they should be invested. Americans, for us to be such rebels, we are, for whatever reason, very good at doing what the government tells us to do. So, this was posted yesterday, Monday at 12 p.m. Meet at Farragut Square. American Jews say ceasefire now. Stop genocide of Palestinians. So if you're in D.C. or the D.C. metropolitan area, go.
I really have to wonder.
And here's an Irishman proving once again why his people are the most based people in Europe.
About the consistency of the ethics of EU foreign policy. It is utterly, utterly unconscionable that we can say on the one hand, we must investigate the war crimes and atrocities of Vladimir Putin and remain silent.
Vladimir Putin?
As you did when you spoke in June in Israel beside the Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and did not say a word, not a word, after we've had two devastating reports by Amnesty International, by Human Rights Watch, of 70 years of ongoing crimes against humanity, ethnic cleansing, apartheid, the siege of Gaza, a 15-year-long criminal action. Do we talk about investigating the war crimes of Israel? No. Do we sanction Israel for these crimes as we've sanctioned Russia? No. Instead, we continue to give them favoured trade status.
Yeah, a lot of countries in NATO and the EU do this. Like, they basically let them get away with any fucking thing. Like, I guarantee you, if Israel is still standing after this shit, like, there's not going to be any sanctions whatsoever. Bibi Netanyahu is going to be allowed to travel all around the fucking world and do whatever. Like, yeah, the Russian invasion of Ukraine was wrong, but, like, they're getting punished for that. There's sanctions on their high government officials. There's an arrest warrant out for Vladimir Putin. Is there going to be an arrest warrant out for Bibi Netanyahu? Is there going to be an arrest warrant out for the person who literally called Palestinians subhuman scum? Like, why does Israel get away with so much shit? Like, imagine if this was a country in Africa. That dude would be in a fucking cage in The Hague right now. So that begs the question. Like, we have to keep bringing this up. Why are they so favored? Well, we know the answer. Because they're agents of U.S. imperialism. They're agents of U.S. imperialism. Like, Israel was literally founded as a fucking American and British outpost in the Middle East. Why? Because they wanted to chop up and slice up and dice up the Middle East's oil. So they let them have this hunk of land stolen from somebody else and do whatever war crimes it sees fit to continue its miserable existence. That's why Israel exists. Then you got this asshole in my hometown, Seth Crosby. He is saying that this is a much needed cleansing, but not an ethnic one. Israel is not targeting humans. So Palestinians are apparently subhuman now. And what does this guy do for a living? He is an assistant professor of genetics at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. He might as well be a fucking professor of eugenics. He might as well be a fucking professor. Like, how fucking evil do you have to be to do this to somebody? Like, to refer to an entire ethnic group of people as subhuman. So I highly recommend that you all contact the School of Medicine and try to get rid of this guy, because he doesn't need to be teaching anybody anything. So, yeah, I'm going to link this in my description. So, what is my org doing? What is DSA doing? There is a national toolkit. Hashtag no money for massacres. DSA will be coordinating efforts to plug chapters and members. This is going to be linked in my description as well. DSA will be coordinating efforts to plug chapters and members into both national and local solidarity phone banks to present a united front for Palestine, from the streets all the way up to Congress. The No Money for Massacres campaign toolkit provides graphics, campaign plans, social media copy, and other resources to run your own chapter's phone banks or mobilize your chapter to work with others. Crisis communications and social media. To maintain a united nationwide message, we strongly encourage chapters not to publish original statements about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Personally, I don't see any problem with original statements. Let 1,000 flowers bloom. Let 100 flowers bloom. Fuck, let 1,000,000 flowers bloom. Refrain from reposting statements or graphics from outside of DSA national accounts. DSA endorsed socialists in office such as... Okay, so you can post things from these organizations. This is just for, like, official chapters. As an individual, you can post whatever the fuck you want. Avoid engaging in online arguments with hostile strangers on this topic. Our goal is to broaden the support base for peace, liberation, and ending apartheid by focusing on engaging with movable people. So, allies are BDS Movement, Jewish Voice for Peace, U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, and If Not Now. Designated press point of contact. Basic shit. Like, if you've organized before, you should know how to do this stuff. Other ways to help. Donate to Palestinian organizations providing relief and services in Gaza and the West Bank. You have the Middle East Children's Alliance. You have Medical Aid for Palestinians. You have Al Alda Health and Community Association. You have the Hebron International Resource Network. Build the grassroots movement for Palestinian liberation. Join the BDS movement. Support the Not on Our Dime Act. And follow the Progressive International in the Nakba campaign. Participate in local anti-war demonstrations hosted by other organizations that share our values, like the BDS movement, if not now, Jewish Voice for Peace, SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, and others, and respect their leadership. This is something that's an improvement over the Maoist movement that I used to be in, because, like, Maoists would just show up and try to hijack shit, or show up and denounce leadership. I really appreciate how principled DSA is in on the groundwork. If there are no Palestine solidarity groups hosting events or none to collaborate with, we recommend your chapter consider organizing one. Again, always ensuring a plan for members and for the community you invite to be safe. Safety and security. Our firm stance as an organization that is pro-Palestinian liberation has led to numerous threats to our comrades already, including at their jobs. It's important that in this moment we stand together, ready to support each other in the face of these threats, but also that we are abiding by any existing protocols to keep each other and our information secure and safe. If your chapter experiences any sort of harassment in the coming days, please let National know so that we are aware of the situation and can lend whatever support possible. You can do this by emailing DSA's National Operations Director. This link will be in the YouTube video description. Last but not least, let's see how shitty Democrats are on Palestine. This is Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian member of Congress. She is from the 12th District of Michigan. Does she support unconditional aid to Israel? She does not. Her Palestine score is 100%. There is an anti-Palestinian resolution. She opposes it. She sponsored the Palestinian Rights Resolution. The U.S. has had an embassy in Jerusalem. She voted to move it. A nay on that means that she supports moving the Jerusalem embassy. There was a pro-Israel resolution declaring it not a racist or apartheid nation, which is fucking ridiculous. She voted no on that. She voted against Iron Dome funding. She voted against unconditional aid to Israel. Anyone who supports Hamas is an idiot. Like, why do you all just show up to argue? You all know that I'm going to ban you. Like, why? Why? What do you hope to achieve? Cori Bush, homegirl. Another 100% Palestine score. AOC, 97%. She voted present on Iron Dome funding. That is very shitty. Should not have done that, AOC. And it goes down. I'm going to link this as well. Comrades of DSA spent quite a bit of time putting this together, and I appreciate it. You got a lot of red the further down you get. And once you get all the way down, I am irritated by, like, quite a few black people who should know better. A lot of red. But that's why you have to lean on these people. Otherwise, they're going to do many shitty things. So, yeah. If you go out to protests, be safe. Tomorrow, I am going to... You join just as I end the stream. I could throttle you. Anyways, tomorrow night, I'm going to have a very special comrade. I'm going to have Comrade Hayat on. Her coverage and her positions on the events of the past week and a half are been very good. And she is a very theoretically sharp comrade, and I look forward to speaking with her. So you can catch her tomorrow night along with me right here on my channel. Good night. From the river to the sea.